All right. So we've just listened to about 4 songs, and Ammon is going to give us his impression of the bass. We want to talk about the bass because that's one of our strong suits and fortes. So give us a little idea about what you heard.
So basically, bass first. The bass was amazing. You could hear it, and that was one of the big things. Normally, I'm accustomed to one-note bass, and I've listened to $100,000 systems. The system in here, the bass, you could hear individual notes. You could hear the type of instruments that were creating the bass, whether it be a bass guitar, a drum, kick drum, whatever it may be. You could hear it, and you could hear each of the individual notes, whether it be upper bass, lower bass, and it just seemed like it kept going. Normally you lose all the low stuff or it kept muddled, and no, you could hear it. It just seemed like it kept going. I'm not sure what this system is rated down to or what it played down to, but it blew me away as far as...
It almost grabs you and takes you with it.
Yeah, it does.
And then till another instrument comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And then that grabs you.
Yes.
And you go back to that.
Yep.
You kind of go along for a ride on the wave.
That sums it up perfectly. I really think that's it. It's musical. It's enjoyable. It's like you want to keep listening. I mean, honestly, I could sit here. How long did you have today to?
It's natural.
It is.
And it sounds like music. And we're doing it all in a room that's 18 by 18 by 8.
Which is normally
a square.
Not a good room.
Which is not a good room. And we've chosen that on purpose to show people that with a lot of a treatment and with the right amount of treatment, you can get some really good control.
Mm-hmm.
And low frequency is all about management. We're not going to absorb all of it, but we can manage it correctly. How about vocals?
Well, and going back to the bass, and that's one thing that you mentioned. The bass wasn't dead. Like, if you go into a room that's just overly absorbed, then the bass is dead. You have to have speakers that are just driving, then they'll hit you, but it's still dead. No, this room is amazing as far as the bass is natural, and it just keeps going, it's real, pleasant to listen to.
Yep, in a square room, everyone. How about vocals? Tell us a little bit about the vocals.
The vocals stood out as far as you can hear the singer. You can hear everything about them, the type of singer they are. Obviously every different singer has a different voice. You could hear that. Even you and I talking. That's something that I noticed immediately when we walked in from the house into this room. Instantly, I was amazed at, okay, that's pleasant. And all of a sudden you started talking. I'm like, you can hear your voice clearly. And I'm sure it is with my voice as well.
I can hear the breaths you take for air.
Yeah. But the singers, the same thing with the singers. You could hear it really. It was emotional. You really felt what they were singing, and I think that's one of the things with music that is lost these days, especially with the MP3s. It's people in the headphones in the cars. The feeling of the music is just lost. When you see someone that is truly singing, not just a lot of these pop stars out there just. They think they're singing, but no, someone truly emotionally singing, you hear that. And it's conveyed, and obviously it doesn't matter the system that you're using because this isn't a $100,000 audio system. I've seen them, I've heard them. I would actually put this up against some of them.
Wow. Well, thank you. Well, good.
So,
what do you think of that?
wow, I'll say it again. The vocals from a choir that all the way from you could hear them individually, and even the guy's the bass voice that was there, I couldn't believe it.
How he floats.
Yeah.
Through the whole presentation.
And then the bass notes that came in, it was just like they literally sounded like they were just floating on the floor, like they were, like you could touch them almost.
It's almost like they left the speaker and were wrapping around you
Yeah.
and giving you a hug.
Oh, you can't hardly tell that these speakers are where they're at. When you close your eyes and just listen to music,
No.
you cannot point out these speakers. And these speakers are typically very directional, very much in your face. You cannot tell that here. And that's amazing.
Yeah, that's the room.
Yeah, that is amazing.
See, people just don't understand how important the room is.
Well, I'm learning a lot.
And when they sit in this chair and they listen, they immediately get it.
Yeah.
So that's the cool stuff about room acoustics and
Absolutely.
the technology.
Just amazing. And you could hear where the voices were. And that's, when they brought certain people's voices out, you could hear that. And I'm just blown away.
Isn't it amazing? You can hear how the engineer moves the signal around.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's him doing it.
Yeah, there's a lot more to, because, I've also heard
And that's in every
live.
recording.
Right.
We just can't hear it. The room won't let us.
Right.
But in
No,
here, you
can
can.
hear it here.
And it's-
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's a bit distracting. Leave it in the right channel.
Right.
Don't move it to the left channel. Or leave it in the middle.
Right. But that's the engineer doing that music.
And the artist.
I respect,
Yeah.
because I think the engineer has just as much play in the artistry of the music as does the artist themselves.
I think you're probably right.
I'm hearing it
Yeah.
for the first time. Literally. I am amazed and intrigued and excited even more.
The best?
That is the best I have ever heard that song. You could hear. I mean based upon what I can hear, that drum has to be enormous.
It's huge.
When they're hitting that drum, it just all the sound that comes, you can hear it
And feel it.
and feel it. Yes, both. You can hear it and you can feel it. But it's natural. It's not this boom.
It's
just,
in
muddled.
its place.
Exactly.
It's not overpowering.
Yeah, you can hear it. But even like at the end where the drum, the big bass drum hits, all the other drums hit, everything, it's all at once. But you could hear them all. And they all had their places. It wasn't just a big, and then
Soup.
okay.
Yeah.
No, they all had their individual places. And the trumpets, they sounded normal. I guess reverberation, was still there. Again, this isn't an over-damped room, but it complements the sound. It makes the sound really what it is, what it's supposed to be. I'll rephrase that, the way it's supposed to be. I'm amazed. That was an amazing piece. Now I really hear what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I'm thinking, even in theaters, theaters which obviously have some acoustics, they don't even compare.
You won't get the intimacy you get
No.
here.
No.
There's something magical about taking a small room and adding a lot of carbon like we've
Right.
done here. Carbon is the reason you're hearing every bit of bass you're hearing.
Yeah.
It just has the ability to absorb just enough
Mm-hmm.
to increase the definition, and with that increased definition comes a whole new world of music.
Mm-hmm.
Because bass is so beautiful.
It is. Oh, bass is wonderful. I hear systems, and in fact, it bothers me kind of to hear systems that don't have the bass, because there's especially your bookshelf speakers, which really are dropped off and just don't have the ability to put a reasonable amount of bass into a room, unless it's just a teeny tiny room. And but yeah, it bothers me because I know there's so much more. But it also bothers me when I hear the one note bass or just the muddy bass sounds horrible. It'll drive you out of a room.
It will.
I mean, it just annoys the heck out of me. I've spent hours upon hours trying to adjust subwoofers, but now I am understanding it had really nothing to do with the subwoofer. It had everything to do with the room.
Everything.
And that's why I could never get it right.
Yeah.
I've ended up just throwing out subwoofers just because I didn't think that they were necessary, and they ruined it. I'd rather have full range speakers.
Right.
But now I realize it really wasn't the subwoofer's fault. It was
No.
my room.
It's the room.
Yeah. All of that stuff is going on. You can hear where it's going on. But the most important, well, I shouldn't say most important, but it still gives me goosebumps. At the final finale, everything ending, that explosion, it explodes from there and just comes out. I mean, you can literally hear it just coming out.
You can see it.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the bass.
Yeah.
and you know, the different, I'm not sure if those are necessarily drums or not that they're using, but I'm assuming they're digital.
Yeah.
Based on what it is, but you could hear the difference, you know, the different bass notes that they're actually using, but just as it came out, and it just kept going. It was like
Wave after wave.
yes, it was the best, better than any theater I've been to, and that was also something that, you know, based on what I've heard here, put up a screen, and this 2-channel system would blow away most theater systems we
I know.
install, hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down, it would, just because of the room.
Yeah. Yeah. It is interesting. The room is so critical, and people just aren't getting that, and we hope to change that.
Well, I have to have my boss over here no matter what. It's not an option. I've got to have him over here to hear this, because when we set up our new theater room, this is what's going to sell people, not just a basic system we're putting in.
Yeah.
This is what sells people.
Yeah.
Because
And
when
the
they come
beauty
in,
of all of this, we can build it into the walls.
right?
You don't have to have all this stuff standing around.
Yeah.
I mean, if your room is already up and built and you
Right.
want this sound, yes, you do.
Put it up on the walls, but no, you're right. You build it into the walls.
We can build the carbon right into the walls. I can put the ACDA 10 and 12 series
Mm-hmm.
into the walls. So you'll never see it.
Yeah.
You'll never see it.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
And it would be nice to be able to offer a room acoustic package that really works for bass when
Right.
you're talking about home theater. Because
Mhm.
bass is a big part of home theater.
It is a big part of it, and I've heard bass out of this room that I've never heard with even the most expensive, biggest multi-subwoofer systems that are out there. I mean, yeah, I've got some that it'll make your heart stop, and you know, you get that impact, but it's not real. It with the room ruined so much of it. From what I've heard today, yeah, hands down, it's amazing.
Yeah. People say, well, the room's only 25 or 15 or 20% of the sound that you hear. I completely disagree. Don't you?
Based on what I've heard today, I would say that the room has to be at least 80 to 85% of the system.
I've always
Of
said,
the
we've
experience.
always said
And
75.
I'll say experience, because this is truly an experience. How much do I owe you for this?
I really don't think the human language is adequate sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying that because
Right.
it's my technology, but
No, this
you've sat in the chair. You know what I mean?
this has to be experienced. The words cannot pronounce. I've been on your website. I've looked at that. I have the the recordings you've done. I'm still working on getting through those, and those are a lot of great information. But from an informational standpoint, those are great. But unless you truly understand and experience this, you don't understand. I didn't understand. Now that I've experienced it, all of a sudden, it's just a whole new world that has just opened up, and I'm excited.
Yeah, it's
I'm excited to definitely learn more about it.
all our last 7 or 8 years. We've always been telling people it's the room, it's the room, it's the room, but it's really the room and the room.
Right.
It's more than
Yeah.
that, because the things you heard today, I try to write about them and I try to describe them to people, but I'm not that smart.
Well,
I don't have that kind of literary skill set.
I don't know anyone that could write and really bring about the experience, what I felt, heard, because it had all the senses. I mean, it's like I said, at that last score, I got goosebumps every time I've heard it. You don't get that out of, I don't care how expensive the system is. There's something, I mean, obviously this room is making it sound right. And I know there's a lot of people that don't have this opportunity, and I would like more people to have that opportunity, and I think people are missing out.
Well, people are buying different speakers and different amplifiers in search of different sound, but they got the sound. They just don't have the room.
Right.
And it's demonstrated by $1,500 worth of technology here.
Yep.
Probably not even considered hi-fi stuff.
Right.
But
so I mean, and I'm not don't take me wrong. I mean, it's not horrible stuff. It's not Kmart special. No. It's decent equipment. However, I mean, just the speakers alone, which we talked about earlier, dented drivers, Klipsch. I mean, they're older, big corner horns and stuff like that have a really nice sound to them in the right room.
Mm-hmm.
These speakers, I've never heard these speakers sound good before. All of a sudden, I'm still scratching my head, wondering how you're getting this sound out of these speakers.
I know. My one friend says that I've redone the inside of the speakers. I said, no, I haven't. I haven't touched them. I put some foam on the tweeter, on the horn, because it's too bright.
Yeah.
And it's hard plastic. It's going to be bright. So I just used some of our foam and covered it up a little bit. But it doesn't affect anything. It just takes that edge off of it. And I'm really amazed at the resolution that these horns produce.
Yeah, so am I.
That's what's amazing to me. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with horn speakers. Dynamics mainly what I used in the past. But so this is really my first set of horns, and I like them.
Yeah.
I think they have that nice dispersion pattern, and you get diffusion in the room to complement them. Mm-hmm. You can create some serious air and space.
Well, that's just it. Like I was telling you earlier with the Mark Logan electrostats that I had, when you were sitting in one spot, head in the perfect spot, you could hear the depth where the different instruments were being played, and it was just amazing. The minute you move your head literally that far, not even half an inch or a quarter of an inch, you lose it. So you literally have to stick your head in a vise and listen, which got uncomfortable after a while. The clarity was amazing, and I obviously, because of the type of speaker, was clearer than these. However, the depth, dimension that we're locating of these speakers literally disappeared in this room, and that's typically not typical from that speaker.
No.
At all.
From most speakers.
And yeah, I would agree with that.
From most speakers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So for a $25 pair of speakers,
it's funny, isn't it?
I don't know anyone that would not be amazed with this. And that being said, I know of a lot of people that base the sound on equipment rather than room. And after today's experience, I realized that that's definitely not the way to do it. Yes, speakers and equipment will sound different, and there are differences between them. However, the room has more to do with it than anything else.
I would love to be able to bring everyone in here and let them listen.
Well,
because if we could change enough attitudes and minds through demonstration, I don't need to say anything, just press the play button.
Right.
And your ears will tell you.
Anyone that appreciates music and has ears, which I don't know anyone that doesn't have ears. I know there are some people that don't have all their hearing, but anyone that has ears is going to notice a difference. And I even would venture to say, and I'm not a scientist and I don't know this for sure, but I would venture to say that even someone that is hard of hearing or has issues hearing would still hear the difference in here. And most likely because what they're hearing, they'll be able to hear and they won't hear all the other stuff that's blocking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
The
And
room,
they-
the room distortions.
yeah.
Absolutely.